Hi there, welcome to Piano Shack with me, Woody. Let's do viewer mail.
Come on, baby.
So the first one is from Vladimir. Thank you for this question. It's a good one, I think. I was always struggling with finding the right patches for my synths. When I'm not looking for something particular, I'll just stop when I get tired and pick whatever I like the most. But when I look for a specific patch, like from a song, I don't even know where to start. How do you find that sound in all the patches available? I want to get as close as possible. And this is a great question and something that I struggle with a lot. Now, as you know, many of our keyboard workstations, synths and VST plugins have thousands of presets available to us. And there is nothing more tedious, in my opinion, than wading through hundreds and hundreds of sounds looking for that one, just clicking up and down through the sounds and playing something. I really find that to be an inspiration and creativity killer. What do we do about it? Well, some synthesizers have like a category search thing, so you can press the button and you can search for all of the basses, all of the synth pads. My Roland FA had that, and it did help. You still end up wading through hundreds of sounds in each category, so that's not the complete answer. Now, some of the VSTs I have even have filters where you can say, give me a bass sound that's metallic and hard or soft or whatever you like, and that way you can really get down to the sound that you want. My Korg M1 VST has that, and also the Arturia Keylab, which is very, very helpful. So that's one thing that you could look for. The other approach, of course, is to make the sound yourself. If you know what sound you want in your head and it's something you can synthesize, then you can use the front panel controls on your synthesizer. That's why I like the Nord Lead and my old Juno 6 synthesizer. I can pretty much dial up the sound I want without using any presets at all. It's really nice not having to use presets. Finally, one other approach I sometimes use is not to care whatsoever about what the original sound is used on the song. I played in a cover band, we did disco songs, soul songs and so on, and I just decided to stick with the Rhodes sound or the Hammond organ sound regardless of what was on the actual record, and that worked for me. But yeah, I understand your frustration. It's a tricky one. Sometimes I wish I was a saxophone player, because then you've only got one preset to play with. Of course, sitting down in front of a piano is a real pleasure as well. Vladimir, thank you for the question. Okay, from Anthony then. This is a bit of a long one, so I'm going to have to sort of chop a few things out here. Guys, if you want to send me questions, try and keep them short, okay? Because it's going to take too long to read them out otherwise. So Anthony says, I'm writing to you for some advice. I am a big electronic music fan, fellow synthwave lover, and fascinated by synthesizers and keyboards. Unfortunately, when I was young, I did not enjoy piano lessons and thus didn't learn or retain anything. Now I dabble in making music with GarageBand, Ableton Live, but I have to draw everything with the mouse and fly by the seat of my pants. I think I'm ready to commit some effort into learning how to play, but I do not own an instrument on which to do so. After some deliberation, I think I need a MIDI keyboard, which is an input device for Ableton, of course. In addition to myself, my 5-year-old daughter is showing an interest in music as well. She loves playing with the MIDI instruments in GarageBand on my old MacBook. We are putting it into lessons, but I really want this to be captivating and interesting for her, unlike for me. Whatever I purchase needs to serve us both. I wonder if you could offer some advice. How I should proceed? Is this a terrible idea? Is an actual keyboard the better purchase here? P.S. I just came across a Yamaha PSR 32. Is this a good buy? Okay, I paraphrased the question there a little bit, but he's got a daughter and he himself wants to play, and he's wondering if he can get something that will fit both purposes. I guess, I mean, firstly, you need a MIDI controller for your Macintosh with GarageBand and Ableton Live. There's no way you can be clicking things in with your mouse. I suppose you could, but it would get extremely frustrating and tedious for me, and I guess for you as well. So yeah, get yourself a MIDI controller. They're not very expensive. Get yourself something with USB, something modern from M Audio or Roland or Novation. If you can find one secondhand, then go for it as well, because you'll save some money. And sure, your daughter can use it as well. She's only 5 years old. You're going to have to help her a lot. You're going to have to start up the computer and start up the software and get her started. But if she enjoys that, that's great. But I'm kind of thinking, why not get her... Why do you have to have one keyboard that does both purposes here? Get her something else. Get her one of these cheap Yamaha or Casio what do they call them? Just a keyboard, like a little arranger keyboard with some built-in rhythms and fun sounds and lights that flash and stuff. And I think she'll like that even more than playing with your MIDI controller. And she won't get her sticky fingers on it and make a mess either. So that's what I do. Neither are expensive. Spend $100 on a nice USB MIDI controller for your Mac and buy yourself a $100 cheap, fun, toyish keyboard for your daughter. I think that's the way to go. That's what I do anyway. The Yamaha PSR32 that you mentioned, I did Google that one. That's a really ancient Yamaha PSR from the 70s or 80s I guess. I get something a bit more modern. He says, are the patches similar to the DX7 patches? The DX7 is one of my all-time favorite synths. No, it's not similar at all. But just get yourself Dex Ed on your PC with a MIDI controller and you've got all the DX7 sounds you want. Next one. My name is Eddie. I live in Slovenia. I've decided to contact you after I've seen your channel. I have an Emax second generation, which is basically 16-bit audio system, workstation, sequencer, sampler. Andy Wilder, former Depeche Mode member, had the same monster on his auction. I saw a video about this on YouTube, yes. But I doubt you know this information. I do. I have seen that video and I'm familiar with this synthesizer. We'll get to it in a second. Anyway, I bought it in '94 second hand. It was already 5 years old at the time, even though I was actually looking for a D50 or D20 by Roland. This is what Eddie says. I also used Atari ST since it supported Cubase. Yep, floppy disk in those times, which is hard to imagine today. Emax is a hell of a machine. There are some issues with 2 keys. The rest is working as it did back in the day, no problems. The question after all that is, could you do a video about Emax 2 in more detail? I think that was it, yes. Thank you for the question. I do know about Emax. I came very close to buying one, also in the 90s, about the same time you bought yours. I remember going to a music shop in Bristol. I forget the name. Might even still be there, but there was a big music shop and I went there and I demoed the Emax and it was... yeah, definitely something that I was tempted to buy. I don't remember why I didn't. But would I be interested today? I'm not sure. Some of these samplers have not aged very well. You can do so much better things on your computer these days without having to worry about the reliability problems that you're suffering from with your Emax. So probably not. Having said that, if I ever find a used emulator, this was the bigger brother of the Emax, the original EMU emulator sampler, I'd probably get one of those. I wouldn't be able to resist. That thing used huge floppy disks, I think, 5¼ inch floppy drives. I'd love to play around with one of those. I don't know what they cost. You don't see them very often, but I think that would be a fun project. Right, let's press on. We've got one from Nigel. Okay, I ran out of record time. Let's start again. From Nigel. First of all, I want to thank you for your wonderful YouTube channel. I thoroughly enjoy every video. Thank you. I would very much like to see you produce some sort of piano or keyboard lessons. There are an awful lot of them out there on YouTube, but I think your style of presentation would set them apart. However, I would be concerned about how sustainable it would be in terms of your finances and time. Perhaps you could consider a Patreon model whereby we could subscribe a monthly amount to help you along. Well, thank you. That's very thoughtful of you. Let me start perhaps by saying that I did try to do keyboard lessons when I started my channel. I think I've told you this before, but I noticed they didn't drive any views. I didn't get any traffic there until I started doing more gear-related videos. That's what people seem to like to watch. And it does feel like a complete waste of time, and it's very disappointing when you just put a lot of effort into some lesson and nobody watches it. So That's why we've got more of a gear focus at the moment on the channel. You have to sort of deliver the content that people want, I think. On the subject of monetization, I don't have a Patreon model or anything like that. This is just a hobby. I have a day job. And I hope you've noticed, by the way, that my channel is not monetized. There are no advertisements, and that's a very deliberate thing. I haven't ticked the checkbox in YouTube to monetize the channel. And the reason for that is that, probably like you guys, I hate sitting through annoying advertisements, these pre-roll ads before you get to the video. I think if I was to monetize my channel, I'd get maybe $40, $50, $100 a month with the amount of views that I'm getting. And I don't need that money, and there's no way I'm going to make you people sit through ads to watch my content just so that I can make a measly $50 a month. That ain't going to happen. So I hope you've noticed that and appreciated it. That situation could change if I ever quit my day job and really need the money, then I might enable ads. But for the time being, I don't need that $50. I'm not going to make you guys suffer. So it's ad-free. The Patreon stuff, I don't know. I'm not sure if I do lessons. It feels like that niche is saturated. That area of YouTube, there are so many guys doing lessons and they're doing it really, really well. It's very difficult to break through in that space. But we'll see. I'd still like to do it. We might move into some more tutorials in the future. I'm not sure. And if I do ever consider a Patreon model, then I'll let you know. I do donate myself to some of my favorite YouTube channels and podcasts. It feels good just to buy the host a cup of coffee or a lunch or something. So if you guys want me to do that, then let me know in the comments. And thank you very much, Nigel, for the question. Okay, from Ian, it looks like, also known as YouTube Chinese Music. Yeah, he comments on my vids a lot. He's the owner of... Oh, yeah. He did quite a nice video, Dex Ed versus DX7 as well, which I enjoyed. I noticed you fix a lot of keyboards. Not really. There's one or two that I was forced to fix, but very reluctantly. He says, do you find keybeds... And I can't answer this, so I'm going to need your help here. Do you find keybeds using the membrane rubber design, Roland Nord, I think, and every cheap USB keyboard? Oh, does the Nord and Roland use membrane rubber designs? Let me carry on. Do you find the membrane rubber design less reliable than mechanical switch keybeds like the Yamaha FC keybed found in DX7 M1 Triton? It seems the mechanical ones actually have physical switches, not membrane rubber carbon contacts, which will degrade, especially after 30 years. Of course, the membrane contacts are a lot cheaper. Keep up the good work. I look forward to your videos all the time. Thank you. So Ian, I don't know much. I was not even aware that there were different kinds of keyboards. Some feel a lot cheaper to me and some feel really great, but I didn't know that some had switches and some had membranes. I really don't know. You're going to have to do your own research there, or perhaps someone in the audience will chime in. Now, we did get a lot of emails this month, both on Facebook and on my Gmail and on YouTube as PMs. So you can reach me on any of those channels if you want to contribute yourself on this show. Both my camera and my iPad here are running out of batteries. Okay, Jesper says, hi Woody, thank you for all videos. I have an M1 related question for you, or mission. The just released Korg gadget for Mac. All gadgets, including M1, promise to run as virtual instruments in all major DAWs. How does the new M1 gadget compare with the old AU VST in the Korg Legacy collection? Is it worth spending the money? Now, I've been tempted to install the iM1 on my iPad, or perhaps even the Korg gadget, which is a full suite of different instruments. And one of those is like a stripped down version of the M1. It's pretty cool. I think it's like a $30, $40, perhaps a $50 product on the iPad, but you do need a more modern iPad than I have to run it. So I've never tried it. And as he says, Korg have now released it for the Mac as well, but only for the Macintosh. And I don't have a Macintosh, so I'm not able to try it at all. And it's also pretty expensive. I think I read that it's like $300 or something, which doesn't make it that tempting. If you want the M1, get the Korg M1 VST plugin on sale for $25. They have sales quite often. and then you can run it on PC, Mac, or whatever you want. So I don't know much about that, but thanks for the question. Jan says, love your videos, but why no reviews of Kurzweil gear? They are pretty iconic, and personally I think they're still among the best today. Kind regards, Dan. Okay, it's not Jan, it's from Dan. Kurzweil, well, you don't see them very much here in Sweden. It's an American manufacturer, I think, and we're pretty much dominated by the Japanese synth manufacturers and the European ones. But Kurzweil, don't know much about them. I might get my hands one day on the K2000. This is a Kurzweil monster flagship workstation synthesizer from the early 90s. I always wanted one when I was a teenager, could never afford it. This was a real expensive instrument. So yeah, you might well see the K2000 one day on my channel if I find one secondhand that's in good condition. Otherwise, not so interested in their gear and don't have much experience or nostalgia for it either. Let's do a question from Colin. I hope you're hanging in there with me. My name is Colin, I'm from Scotland. Hi Colin. I was wondering if you have any plans to do a review on the Roland Jupiter 80. I have one of my own and would love to hear your review and points on this keyboard. I've not yet had the time to delve into the guts of it, but will do at some point. Cheers in advance. Take care, mate. Yeah, thanks, Colin. Good question. The Jupiter 80, that's a big, expensive, top of the range Roland synthesizer with a big touch screen, if I remember rightly. And I've seen them come up for sale here in Stockholm. And yeah, I'm curious for sure. But remember, I had the Roland FA08, and that has the same sound engine as the Jupiter 80. The synthesizer sounds, as far as I know, exactly the same. And even some of the orchestral ones and the supernatural piano and the Fender Rhodes and stuff. It's just in a more basic, budget friendly. I'm going to show you something else. Now I have this, as you know, my JD XI behind the sofa there, behind the couch. This also has some of the same sound engine descended from the Jupiter 80. And this I paid, I don't know, a couple of £100 for. Those Jupiter 80s are a couple of grand, I think. So not totally interested. You know, I can get the sounds for those in much cheaper packages. So I haven't really been tempted to bite the bullet on the Jupiter 80. There's a nice video on YouTube, actually, with Howard Jones doing a demo of the Jupiter 80, which I really enjoyed, together with Sonic State. Okay, Bob, here is a question for you. In your video, Yamaha PSR S970 demo and review, you say that the keyboard is shit. So how would the Yamaha PSR work if you were to use another 88 key digital piano that has weighted keys? Would it still work if you increased the key number, and would it allow you to use a keybed from a keyboard you like better, but still allowed you to use the features of the Yamaha PSR? Right, absolutely true. Bob, I did an unboxing and I had a little tinkle on the keys and I said, oh my God, these keys are shit. And it's something I regret. I don't feel I did a very professional review at all there. Didn't do very much for my credibility or reputation. But that really was my first reaction. I just was expecting a keyboard that cost $2,000 to have better quality feeling keys. If you buy a synthesizer, say a Motif or the Montage for $2,000, you're getting a real premium keyboard feel. It's really fabulous. But the PSR felt very lightweight, shallow, short, a slightly smaller keyboard size, I think. And I couldn't really put it into words. I was disappointed and I said it was shit. Now, I don't think the quality is bad. I don't think it's going to fall apart on you. I just didn't like the feel of it at all. But I think it's probably a robust and pretty solid set of keys, but not what I was expecting. So would it work better if you were to hook it up to an 88 key digital piano? Yes, it would, I think. It would be fabulous in that case, especially when playing piano sounds. And I haven't tried it, but I'm sure that you would get the 88 keys as well. There's no reason why it would limit it to 61, which is what you get on the PSR keyboard. So that's a pretty nice idea. Another advantage, when you're playing the PSR, you have to split it so that your left hand, you trigger chords in one area of the keyboard for the accompaniments, and then you can solo with the right. But if you were to split that, I think it'd be pretty cool. You could use the whole the whole range of the PSR's keys for doing the chords and then play any other work, lead work or accompaniment work on the 88 key keyboard or another 61 key keyboard or whatever you want. But I think MIDIing another keyboard to that would be really good. Having said that, I don't mind the PSR keyboard too much now. I've got used to it. The only thing is it's so light that it's very easy to play wrong notes if you're not really precise with what you're playing. But it's not too bad. Just a bit, not good enough for the price, okay? Okay, I've got a couple more here. One from Jordan. He's got a couple of questions for me. Do you play live much at the moment? What's your favourite keyboard of all time? Why, if you don't mind me asking, do you live in Sweden? Great video. Thanks, Woody. Oh, this is the last question. Okay. Thanks for hanging in with me. I know this was quite a long episode and I've been waffling on. Right, question number one. Do you play out live much at the moment? No, nothing at all. I wound it down when I came to Sweden. I used to play out tons when I was in England. I was playing 3 or 4 nights every week and having a day job. And I was earning as much money in the evenings as I was in the day. And I even worked as a piano bar pianist for a while as well when I was a teenager and earning good money doing that as well. But then I came to Sweden and they don't have the same live music scene here as you Swedish guys knows. There isn't really a pub scene with live music and it's quite difficult to get gigs. I found I was doing 10 rehearsals to every 1 gig, whereas in England it's the other way around. So yeah, I don't play anything at all. As I've said earlier in the video, YouTube is my stage and you people are my audience. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. What's my favourite keyboard? Well, I did a video about this. Go and watch my video. Woody reveals his favourite keyboard of all time. But I can tell you, to save you some time, it's the Nord Electro 2. And yes, the 2, not one of the later models. I really like the 2. But go and watch that video and I'll explain why there. I won't go over it now again. My number 2, by the way, is the Juno 6 that I still have in the UK that my father bought in 1982. That's a wonderful keyboard. I learned my chops on that and how to do synthesis and I still love it. Doesn't have any presets, that one. That's another reason I like it too. In fact, I used to use that in a live band and between every song I was dialing in the sounds for the next song. But I could do that. It's so easy, a child can do it, and I was a child at the time. And my third favourite, you didn't ask, but I'll tell you, it's going to be the Hammond organ or the Fender Rhodes or a grand piano, one of those. So Nord Electro, Juno 6, grand piano, Hammond Rhodes, in no particular order for those 3. Why, if you don't mind me asking, do you live in Sweden? Yes, I think I talked about this in a previous viewer mail. To cut a long story short, it was a night out in England in the pub, just a random night out. Swedish girl at the bar that I started talking to. We travelled around the world together for a year. After doing that, I chose to come here. Still am, 20 years later or something. So that was the final question. Thank you everybody that sent me questions. And I do apologise if I missed any messages. I've been getting tons in various channels and it's quite difficult to keep up with what I've responded to and what I haven't responded to. So if I've missed you, then I apologise, but just resend your message and I'll take it next time. No bother. But do try and keep the messages short because it takes too long to read otherwise and maybe I'll have to miss it completely. But I do try and answer all of the mails I get and read them, and sometimes I'll send you a response immediately. If your question is like, oh, I've got this great deal on a Korg M1 for $200, should I get it? Then I'll probably answer immediately, as well as reading out your question on the viewer mail show. So there you go, that's all for today. I do thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm not sure if you like this viewer mail show or not, so please give me some feedback in the comments. I appreciate it. Like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you again soon. Cheerio.